they can ask you what is primary deficit. Again, it's very simple. I told you in the expenditure part, the most important expenditure and it's non-productive expenditure is interest payment. Imagine our country is not having the burden of interest. Then what is the deficit? If there was no interest payment, what is the deficit? That is what is called as primary deficit. So, primary deficit is nothing but fiscal deficit. So, from the, fiscal deficit is the total borrowing. Fiscal deficit is the total borrowing of that particular financial year. Imagine, we are actually what we are doing, we are borrowing and paying the interest. We are borrowing money for what? Mainly our borrowed money is used for what? To pay the interest of the future, the previous borrowings. Okay, so what is primary deficit? Primary deficit is if the country was not having any previous interest debt or interest payment, then what will be the borrowing? What will be the borrowing? That is what is called as primary deficit. So, primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus interest payment. So, this is this deficit section of public finance, your module 1 is very, very important. You can see the number of questions being asked. Lot of questions have been asked from the deficit section. Okay. See, primary deficit as a concept. Okay, don't read what is the statement. You understand it. Okay. Primary deficit means, we know what is fiscal deficit. What is fiscal deficit? Total borrowing of that particular year. Total borrowing of that particular year. Imagine, I told you, what we are doing, this borrowing, imagine the interest payment. Interest payment is where? It's a revenue expenditure. Imagine interest payment is 6 lakh crore. Interest payment is 6 lakh crore. So, out of this total expenditure, what is the total expenditure? 20 lakh crore. If there was no interest payment, imagine, it's only imagine, I told you. If there was if the previous government have not borrowed, imagine, then what will happen? The total expenditure will be cut down to 14 lakh crore. So, now the government have to borrow how much? Instead of 8 lakh crore, they have to borrow only 2 lakh crore. What is that 2 lakh crore? That is primary deficit. Primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus, now you can see that what is the fiscal deficit? 8 lakh crore. What is the interest payment? 6 lakh crore. 8 minus 6, 2 lakh crore. That is primary deficit. Now what happened now the problem is, now comes to these terms are very important. Why means 2021, never in history, okay, in all our future generation will remember this year. We will also remember this year as an economics student, okay? Because we still don't know what will be the fiscal deficit, okay? I told you, when the budget 2021, now come to the real picture. When budget 2021 was presented, the fiscal deficit projected was somewhere around fiscal deficit was somewhere around 7.96 lakh crore. It's a fact. I may be wrong, but it is somewhere near this. But it is exact figure. It is 3.5% of GDP. Yesterday I told you the relationship between budget. What type of GDP? Here it is nominal GDP. This fiscal deficit, nominal GDP. Yesterday I told you the value and all those things, okay. So the government was in February 1st, 2020, before this lockdown, everything happened. The finance minister was thinking to borrow in this financial year. It will be the government will be borrowing only 7.96 lakh crore. But what happened to the first quarter of this financial year? April, May, June. No revenue, for very minimal revenue, because there is nothing is happening. No production, no work, nothing. Okay, so the revenue component have been totally affected. In the second quarter, that is from July onwards, slowly things start moving. But again, it is not like the previous years. Okay, so that's why in the first quarter we had a contraction. How much? The GDP contracted 23.9%. In the second quarter, again contraction 7.5%. Third quarter, no data is available. Now in June 2020, Finance Minister said that okay, after that the 3 months is almost, Finance Minister told that okay, it's not 7.96 lakh crore, we are going to borrow 12 lakh crore. So that time itself it's clear that fiscal deficit will go more than 6%. Then as time progressed, we are expecting that the government may borrow around 14.5 lakh crore. This is financial experts recently, 3 days back, there was a news was coming that for this financial year, the borrowing will be somewhere around 14.5 lakh crore, and the fiscal deficit can be 7.5% of GDP. It is not sure. When we will be sure? On 1st February 2021. So after 3 weeks, its picture will be very clear. But one thing it is sure that, so this jump, see what is the estimated 3.5% of GDP was the estimated fiscal deficit. But what is the actual? Actual is more than 7% of GDP. So see, we have to borrow this much. If you borrow this much, it will create a huge burden for the coming. So the interest payment will again shoot up in the coming budgets. Okay, so that you keep in mind. So you're clear now, all the deficit. Now we will solve a question. Okay, it's a tricky question, but it's a 4-statement question. Okay, so what we can do is, now you have to visualize, you have to think, you have to use your own common sense, everything you have to use it. Okay. In the context of governance, okay, consider the following. Which year this question was asked? 2010. Okay. And 4 statement is given. What is the question? They are saying, which of the above can be used as a measure to control the fiscal deficit? What does you mean? What does it mean? Controlling the fiscal deficit. To control the fiscal deficit. To reduce the. So what? In order to, now you look into this figure. In order to reduce the fiscal deficit, what are the options available to you? One what you can do is, you can, from expenditure can be, any expenditure, you have to reduce the expenditure. You can, see, by reducing the expenditure, you can control. Reducing the expenditure, increasing expenditure means you cannot control. Then another thing is that increasing the anything, revenue receipts, tax, non-tax revenue, capital receipts, etc. Okay. But if you borrow more, problem. Borrowing more means it is increasing. So either by increasing disinvestment, or increasing the non-tax revenue, or increasing the tax revenue, or decreasing any of the expenditure, we can control fiscal deficit. Is this concept clear to you? Okay. Now, the first statement. This is actually a term which I have not discussed for you for this batch. Okay. It's an external sector term. External sector, that is another account. What is that? Balance of payment. So when you are attempting such type of question, so this see, for you, for this batch I have taught only public finance. Imagine, okay. So you don't know this statement. So what you will do? You will leave that statement. You will become Rahul Dravid. You will leave that. Understand? If you are a cricket player, you know it. Now if you don't, means what he does it, you have to leave it. Not leave the question, leave the statement. So don't eliminate anything because you are not sure whether that statement is right or wrong. What will you do is, go to the second statement. Regarding the second statement, now you tell me, higher education, give me an example of a higher educational institution. IIT, IIM, JNU, Delhi University, they are all higher educational institutions, okay? Now what is the meaning of privatization? Meaning of privatization. The government selling its, if the government is owning something, okay, imagine JNU. JNU is a government owned campus, okay, it's a central university. So all the expenditure of the JNU or Delhi University is beared by the central government, okay. Now privatization means selling it to a private, for example, who is the now main private player, Ambani. Imagine if it has been sold to Ambani or any Tata, anyone. So what will happen to the government? Do you think that these universities is profitable? No. So if you sell it to them, they will get money also, so it will increase the receipts and it is reducing the expenditure, future expenditure, and it is getting some revenue. So privatization of higher education institution will help in controlling fiscal deficit. So second statement is right. So second statement has to be there. So which one you can eliminate now? D can be eliminated. D can be eliminated. So we know that second statement is correct. Now, downsizing of bureaucracy. What do you mean by bureaucracy? You all are born to become a bureaucrat, civil servant, okay? So, downsizing means government is now, instead of take your own example, UPSC, instead of taking 1000 candidates, they are taking only 500 candidates. So future pension, salary, everything has been reduced. So downsizing of bureaucracy will also, it will reduce revenue expenditure. It will reduce revenue expenditure. In that way, it can control fiscal deficit. So third statement is also correct. So which one we can eliminate? We can eliminate C, we can eliminate. Now, if you know the fourth one, we will get our answer, because 4 is there only in B. We have to read and then you have to confirm. Okay. Now, we will see. So 2 and 3 is correct. See the fourth one. Selling the shares of public sector undertaking. What is selling the shares of public sector? It is disinvestment. So by having disinvestment, we can control fiscal deficit. So fourth statement is correct. So if fourth statement is correct, we can eliminate choice A. Now what is left? What will be the answer? B. So without knowing statement 1, even though it is wrong, you don't know, but you know 2, 3 and 4. You went for elimination method. But once you study balance of payment, the other account, it is very easy for you. You know that first statement is wrong. So you will eliminate 1. So it becomes easy for you. That is other method. Once you have complete knowledge of economy, now you are a beginner. Okay, it will take time, no problem. Okay. So you got the answer. This is how you have to approach. So that's why I am taking time, so that in future I will do it in a quick manner. But this is how you have to approach each question. This is how, that's why I told you, prelims is always easy. Why prelims is easy? Answer is there in front of you. See, 4 choice, answer is there. You have to be smart enough to pick the answer. Mains is difficult because answer is not there in front of you. You have to write. Okay. Now, see another importance of solving previous year questions. Questions will repeat, and that too in 15 and 16 same question was answered. They asked in the year 2015 and in the year 2016. with slight difference. By solving previous year question, you can solve many questions. One of the strategy, whether it is for prelims or mains, is to solve previous year question. Okay, now read the question. There has been a persistent deficit budget year after year. See the word of same statement. Which of the following actions, there's some slight difference. Instead of action or action, they have written actions, can be taken by the government to reduce the deficit. So it's almost. Now you see the first statement. So question is reduce the deficit. So in order to reduce the deficit, what you can do, either reduce the expenditure, yes or no? Either reduce the expenditure or increase the receipts. Okay, so reducing revenue expenditure, so you can, by reducing revenue expenditure. So first statement is correct. So I am doing parallelly, same statement na? So we can do it together. Okay. So which choice you will eliminate? Here also. Second one, introducing new welfare scheme. So what is, by introducing new welfare scheme, what is happening to the expenditure? Expenditure will increase. So 2 should not be there. Yes or no? 2 should not be there. So we can eliminate. Third statement. Subsidies. Where is subsidies? Subsidies is here only. Subsidies is where? Revenue expenditure. Rationalizing subsidies means reducing subsidies. Like LPG, what is happening? So by rationalizing subsidy, what you can do? You can control expenditure. So that is right. Third statement is right. So now what is left? So you can, here also, see, we can eliminate. So you got the answer. Here the answer is C, here the answer is A, but answer is what? 1 and 3 only. See, what UPSC have done is, only difference they have made is the fourth statement. Both are irrelevant. We solved the question. If you have any doubt, go to UPSC website, download previous year question from UPSC website, download 2015 question paper, download 2016 question paper, and you cross check it. Out of the 100 question, you can see this question also. I'm not cheating. And not only in this subject, it happened in history also. See, this type of ditto type of question is very rare, but it happens. It happened. We have seen in yesterday, 95 question and 2014 question was similar. You just check it. That non-plan expenditure question. So there used to be a gap, but this, I don't know why it has happened. Okay. Anyway, now see, we got the answer, but the thing is, why 4 is wrong? Why for here import duty? Import duty. Now what is this? It is a revenue. It's a tax. Import duty is what? Tax. By reducing tax means you are reducing receipts. So that's why it is wrong. You understand it, okay? You have to know it. Now, why 4 is wrong? Expanding industries means the government is expanding, this means expenditure is increasing. That's why 4 is wrong.